The top 10 reasons probably why you're not getting interviewed. My name is Bonnie Negron, and I am the owner of Bonnie Career Services and founder of both Bonnie Career Services and the Career Shakeup Club community. In Career Shakeup, we are all about helping corporate professionals identify the next step in their career, and then we develop a roadmap for you so that you can understand what is the next best step for you in order to increase your salary up to 50% and land that job fast. I've made all the mistakes that you're making. I've done it all. I've been there, I've done that. And now I help my clients get to the results that they need. So when I'm having career strategy calls with my clients, I get it. I understand. I've been exactly where you're at. So number one reason why you're not getting interviews is, bottom line, your resume is outdated. If you still have the same resume from 5, 10, 15 years ago, you are not going to get the results that you want. I'm sorry to say that. Today's job search is all technology driven. And as you know, technology is constantly changing. Even something that I was teaching on LinkedIn a year ago has now changed. So it's always updating. And so your resume and your strategy needs to update. It needs to get up to date with current times. So how many of you have a resume that is outdated, that you haven't even changed the layout or format, maybe since you have graduated college, and you're using that same format in career services, that, career services gave you a template. They told you that's what you use, and you've been using that ever since. Raise your hand. Don't be shy about it. Because listen, I have these calls all the time, and this is a very common reason that I see. It's outdated. It's still in black and white. If it is, it has to go. If you haven't updated it in 5, 10, 15 years, it has to go. Reason number 2, and this is one of the biggest reasons, you have no idea what you want to do. So how many of you have no idea what type of job you want, what type of industry? It all starts with that plan. If you do not have an end goal in mind, you are making your job search strategy so much more complex than it needs to be. You need to narrow it down. So if you are trying to target so many different types of jobs in so many different industries, you're going to find yourself in a very long, aggravating job search. I'm going to tell you right now because I see it happening all the time. So you have to ask yourself what type of roles and industries that you want to target. The plan from that point becomes so much easy. So if you don't know what it is that you want to do, or you've changed your mind and you haven't changed your resume, this is another telltale sign that the resume has to change, okay? If you've been targeting, accounting manager roles all of your life, but now you actually want to go into something completely different, your resume has to change with that, okay? And then an accounting manager role in, let's say, regulated industries like pharmaceutical, financial services, they may be completely different than, let's say, going into an engineering firm or a marketing firm. And while the job duties may remain the same, the scope of those job duties do vary from industry to industry. So you have to look at your resume. Is this really the type of job that I want? Is this the industry that I want to get into? They have to align. And if there's no alignment, that's another reason why you're sending out your resume and you're not getting any interviews. Reason number 3, your resume and LinkedIn, it just doesn't speak to your target jobs. This is, piggybacking off of number 2. You have to look at the job description. What is that industry language that they're using? Or have you had so many years in one particular industry or one company that you're using acronyms on your resume that just don't make sense, that nobody else maybe would understand, right? You have to look at these things and think about it from the hiring manager's perspective. Is this going to be relevant? So these are some of the things to look at. If your resume is outdated, you don't have any idea what you want to do, your resume in LinkedIn doesn't speak to your target jobs, you definitely need to make some changes there or do some deep dive. There's a ton of free resources. Are you really taking advantage of them to help you answer these top 3 reasons, right? We do have the tools for you to do that. Reason number 4, you're applying to everything and anything and you're not tailoring your resume. This is a strategy. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Resumes have to be keyword optimized, Formatting plays a factor. If it makes sense to you, great, but does it make sense to the hiring manager? And that is something that's really important, because a lot of times what I see is that you're listing everything on your resume that you've done, but there's no clear focus. There's no clear strategy. And then you're just taking that resume and you're applying to all these different types of jobs. You're applying to sales jobs, marketing jobs, administrative assistant jobs. I mean, I've seen it, and it's not going to work. You have to narrow it down today. Back in the day, that's what we did. We put everything on our resume. We put it out there. Whatever came back, it was great, because somebody, an actual person, was getting your resume in their inbox. You even had the opportunity to drop it off at an office, kind of give your elevator pitch. You don't have that as an option today. Everything now is online. I mean, you might, depending on where you live, but it's not common. Everything's done, virtually now. So applying to anything and everything is just really, the hiring manager is going to look at your resume. They're going to be confused. If they see that you've bounced around in multiple types of jobs over many years, you had a lot of short-term employment in the recent years, that's going to be a red flag. So is your cover letter speaking to that? Are you addressing some of these, objections that could be getting met on your resume? And again, is it really focused towards where you want to go? It really makes it so much easier when you have that end goal in mind. So I can't stress that enough, because then all of these questions that you can have related to the particular reasons why you're not getting interviews can be answered just with that one question. Okay, what type of roles are you targeting, and what type of industries do you want to get into? You need to narrow it down to your hands, at least 5. If you're doing more than that, then that's another reason why you're not getting interviews, because your resume and LinkedIn they're too broad, and you're applying to things and it's not clear the direction that you're trying to go, and you're not able to really speak to things that are relevant to the jobs that you're applying for. So either number one, the ATS score is not high enough, and you're not even alerting hiring managers that you're a qualified candidate, or they're just looking at it briefly and they're going on to the next one, because within seconds, it's not portraying how you're a qualified candidate for their particular organization. Number 5, and this is where mindset comes in. This is why we have our fabulous mindset coach in Career Shakeup, because again, if you're doing everything job search related, but your mind's not in check, which has a lot to do with your success, you are just blocking interviews from coming towards you. That's the way it is. So do you have this mindset that you think you can do it all on your own because you've seen others do it with no help, and you're like, oh, I could do this myself? Or you look at the cost to invest in yourself to get certain things done, and you're like, I'm not going to pay that. I can do this by myself. And now you're 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year trying to figure it all out on your own, and you're still not getting any results. What's the fear? What's stopping you there? This is where we have to look inside. Okay, so now if you have the good resume and you're applying to things online, and you feel good about the technical part of the job search, and you have your career documents in order, your resume's up to date, your LinkedIn's modernized, now we have to say, okay, what's going on with me? Where's my head at? This is my next one. Could it just be your attitude and your outlook on the job search is not so great? Are you looking at everything and nothing looks good? Having that negative Nelly part of you where you're just like aggravated, you're putting yourself down, you're not feeling good. Mindset is everything. And so what are you doing to improve the way that you feel about the job search? Do you get up every morning and you're like, oh, another day, I gotta apply to jobs. There's nothing out there that looks good to me. I'm applying to everything. I'm not getting any results, and just constantly complaining. Yeah, that's not going to do you good. Sorry to say. So how you approach the job search, what you're looking at, the opportunities you can see, that's a big part of it. So I want you to ask yourself, is it the technical part, the career document part, or is it my mindset part? So important. Change your mindset, change your life. Just want to tell you that. The next thing is you're handling the job search the way you did it 10 or 15 years ago. Times are changing, my friends. You can't conduct a job search the way you did it 10 or 15 years ago and expect to get the same results. I'll tell you why. 10 or 15 years ago, you didn't even need a resume half the time. You were able to network amongst your people and send out your resume and get a job that way. Doesn't work like that anymore. You need a resume more than a formality, but because everybody, even a single recruiter, is using some form of an applicant tracking system, so you're emailing your resume all the time. Even if you know somebody and you're networking and you have a connection and a referral, what is the first thing they're going to ask you to do? They're going to say, send me your resume. What happens to that resume when you send it to them? Even if you're bypassing that applicant tracking system and you know someone at that company, which is phenomenal, that's great. You want to get more of that, give that more, right? But your resume is still going to end up in a digital database. So let's say that there's not an opportunity right then and there at that moment, but what if 3 weeks from now or a month from now, an opportunity becomes available? Don't you want your resume to be found in their database? So if you do, which I'm guessing everybody here will say yes, right? Then your resume still has to be ATS friendly. It still has to be modernized because it still has to come up in their search. So that's another conversation. Oh, well, I'm not going to be applying to jobs online. I'm just going to be networking in my field. Great. It still needs to be a modernized ATS friendly resume so that it can come up in their database, because everybody is using some form of an applicant tracking system. Because guess what? 10, 15 years ago, those systems, and there's over 200 of them on the market, they were too expensive. So only the big conglomerate organizations and the Fortune 100s had them. That's not the case anymore. It's much more affordable and there's a lot more competition. So everybody, even a single recruiter, is using some form of ATS today. So resume has to be up to speed with that. The next thing, you're not using LinkedIn in your search. If you're not using LinkedIn, you are missing out on so much opportunity, because how great is it when people are looking for you on LinkedIn? You're not even actively applying. That's how many of my clients are getting seen on LinkedIn, because they haven't optimized LinkedIn profile. With my NCOPE certifications, right now I'm actually recertifying. So every year, my NCOPE certification, that stands for Nationally Certified Online Profile Expert, we have to renew it every year. And I go each month, we have trainings. So I'm always the first to know what's happening on LinkedIn before it even goes out into the public, how the algorithms are working. And every year I have to renew that certification on how it's affecting the job search. It's constantly changing. So being on LinkedIn and being able to understand the technical side, the algorithms and all that is so important today. But if you're not on LinkedIn, you're losing out on a lot of opportunity. And I can help you with anything related to LinkedIn. Another thing I will say is that the 80-20 rule, you all know it, and it applies to the job searching process. So if you're spending all of your time applying to jobs and very little time on researching and networking, you're doing it completely opposite. So how many of you are spending 80% on job searching and 20% on researching and networking? Let me know. It's okay. Don't be shy. We've all done this mistake, myself included. I get it. But I want you to commit to yourself now to actually switching that up. And this is what I do when I work with my clients in Career Shakeup and I work with them on one-on-one mentorship. We are focused less on the job application process, because anybody can do that. You don't need a mentorship to know how to apply online. What you need is that other part, the researching, the networking, how to find the hiring managers, how to connect professionally without, just going in and asking for jobs and referrals. That's where you need to be spending your time. Honing in and developing that roadmap and having those milestones throughout the process is crucial to an effective job search. That's how I'm able to see clients not only getting jobs, but interviewing very fast within 30, 60, 90 days. Because if you have the career documents, but that's not enough to get you to that next step, there's definitely other things going on in your particular situation where the deep dive mentorship might be more important and might be the solution to getting you to that next step. Some people do really well. They get the career documents and that's enough for them to be able to get to that next step. But if you have all that, then you want to ask yourself, what am I doing to research the companies, find out the hiring managers, connecting with them on LinkedIn? Have you identified those companies and the industries that you want to target? Again, going back to one of the first things I've mentioned on this call, it will make you applying the 80-20 rule a lot easier if you have that end goal in mind. And how are you networking? Exactly how are you doing that? And what's appropriate for your specific industry? Because I will say networking can also vary depending on the industry that you're in. So this is where I'm like, I get clients that want networking tips or how to network. I could give you broad things, but once I get to know you and your specific situation, there might be other ways that are more effective for you. So what are some of those ways, right? This is where you got to research and understand where are the people that you want to be hanging out with, where are they hanging out? This is what I've always told my clients. You want to be where the hiring manager, the decisions are. So where are they? That's where the research comes into play. So once you have that end goal in mind, the 80-20 rule becomes a lot easier. So again, 20% on job searching, 80% on everything else. It's so important. And that brings me to the 10th and final reason why I feel like you're not getting interviews is because you're putting everything into the job search and you're neglecting other areas of your life. Don't forget to make time to breathe and take care of yourself, whatever that means. What does that mean for you? It could be spending time with friends. It could be on a beach taking a walk. If you live in the South, you could do that. If you're in the North, you're not going to be able to do that unless you travel. But going out in nature, I'm a mom of 4. Talk about overstimulation when it comes to home, work, business. I get it. Sometimes I just pop in my car and I drive with my favorite music blasting, and that feels just so great. I just need to get away and release a little bit. You got to take time. Jobs are going to be there. You're still going to be able to apply. You're still going to be able to research, network. You can consistently update your resume, but are you taking time for you? Sometimes we just overwhelm ourselves, and that's when we start to feel those negative emotions of the frustration and the anger. And, if you go into a job search with that and you're applying, that rage applying, that's been like a new term that you've been hearing. It's so true. How many of you just get so frustrated? You just take your resume, you just start applying to everything. When clients tell me I've applied to 100 jobs in 2 weeks, I'm like, what? That's all you've been doing, clearly. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's definitely not sustainable, and it's not going to work. I can't stress that enough. So I hope you found this live amazing, and we're here for you. If you're ready to lean in for the support, if you said, I've had it, it's already February, I thought I was going to have a job by now, I need to speak with Bonnie or Michelle, and I want to find out which program is going to work best for me. Like, I've had it, I'm done, I need to make this work. We even have third-party financing options that allow you to break up your investment into small, affordable payments if our investment is something that, you need to be able to break it up. We have everything that you could possibly need to make this work for you, but you have to be ready. So if you're ready, let us know. We're here for you. One call could change your life. It's just one strategy call. There's no obligations. And hey, you may not even be a good fit for us. Sometimes we've had strategy calls and we've said, I don't think that you'd be a good fit for our program, but we will be able to point you in the right direction. I promise. So there's nothing more than to just set up a call. You can connect with Michelle. Go to bonniecareerservices.com/apply. We also have that in the comments. Let us know what your struggles are in your career, and we're going to find out which program works best for you if we can help you. If not, like I said, we'll find you the best route that you can take in the next step. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today, and I will see you all next week. Talk soon.